And here we go.
Opportunities, reports. And here we are on the report screen. It's very simple. It's going to show a list of reports for this object alone. If you click new, it'll create a new report. So I want to get to this spot here before I talk more about this slide. What I mentioned earlier, I'll kind of use some visuals here. Right here, I said that in Apsona, when you start a report, you have access to all of the objects below and above the source object. So what does that mean? I'm on the Opportunities tab. Here at the top is my opportunity object, and I have all the fields available to me to add to the report or filter by for the report. Get rid of that there, so it shows all of them. So I'll just add opportunity name here, throw it in there. So out of the bat, though, without a custom report type or anything technical like that, you have access to every object that this opportunity may look up to, and every object that looks up to the opportunity. So every object above and every object below the opportunity. So now I will go to this, get out of that and go to this. Here we go. So we are currently on an opportunity report. This automatically gives us access to an account, to the account and the fields on that account for the opportunities in the report. It also gives us access to both of these objects at the same time: opportunity products, opportunity contact roles. There's other objects, opportunities have primary campaigns, right? So that might be up here as another parent to the opportunity. I can't
do a quick spot check with you all, noting this is the first time we pre-recorded content, just in this scenario where Chad's presenting at Tyler Dreamin. Would you guys like to move it to, can you put a 1 in the chat if you want to stay at 1.0 speed? The speed that Chad's currently talking at is 1.25, and not all of us listen at the same rate of learning. Would you guys put a 1.0 in the chat if you guys want to go to 1.0, or if you want to stay at 1.25, leave it. Don't put anything. So just moving back to 1.0, and I'll go on mute.
Campaigns are going to be available. Anything one level above and one level below an opportunity are instantly available in Apsona. It's a really amazing feature that we get right out of the box. And you can see that evidenced here by me scrolling. You can see all of these objects available. We talked a little bit about all these objects in our last session talking about filters. But as a reminder, if one of these rows has a star next to it, it means it's a child record. So according to our drawing, opportunity product, if we start to type in opportunity, we're going to see contact role with a star, opportunity product with a star. And then any parent records to the opportunities, so like account, for example, is not going to have a star. So as you're looking around and trying to figure out what fields you need and what objects you're trying to understand here, if it doesn't have a star, it's a parent to the opportunity. But look at this, just out of the bat, we have access to all of these objects in a single report. And so last week we talked about concepts like junction objects, right? The many-to-many relationships, which is what opportunity products are. They look up to a product and up to an opportunity. They join products and opportunities together via a third object. Those are junction objects. So as you are thinking about where do I want to start with my report, how do I know which object to start? You want to think about what fields do you need? What are you going to filter on? What do you ultimately need to have this report give you in terms of information? And that's going to tell you where to start in terms of your objects. So in my kind of scenario here, let's just kind of start creating like a demo report. In fact, I think I have some information on this next slide here. So as we start to tour this tool, the first step is pick your starting object. Think about the fields, filters you need. So we're going to imagine that we need to see opportunities, but we want to see their account information. We want to see information about what campaign they're looking up to, and we want to see information about the users related to this opportunity. Let's say the creator, the owner, or something like that. So if I want this kind of information in a report, I have to think about where I want to start. So do I want to start with accounts? Well, if I start with accounts, let's go back to our drawing here. If I start with account, I can look down to opportunity, cool, but the account doesn't have a direct relationship to, let's say, a campaign of an opportunity. It doesn't look up or down to that, so you kind of get stuck. Go back to that slide. If I want to get access to the user who is the owner of the opportunity, I'm not going to get that if I start at an account, because I do have access to the opportunity, but the opportunity then looks up to a user over here, and I don't get that from an account-based report. So I'm going to start from an opportunity object because I get access to the account if I need it, I get access to the user if I need it, I get access to the campaign if I need it. I can get access to the contacts by looking down at the opportunity contact role and maybe seeing the name on that opportunity contact role. So we get a lot of real estate by starting with the opportunity here. And my general rule of thumb that I suggest to folks is if they're deciding where to start with a report in Apsona, start in the middle. Start in a place where you know you're going to need data up above it and below it. That's the safest bet. Okay. So we wanted to build we wanted to get opportunity information with accounts, campaigns, and user info. So let's start building that. I have the name of the opportunity field. Let's get the amount on there. I'm just typing in fields and adding them, close date. And when I get close date, I get some options here. Am I just looking at the date of the close date? Do I want to get only the year, only the month? Lots of opportunities. For now, I'm just going to choose date. Okay. Let's just really quick run this. Let's name it. We got to name it. So ops with campaign, user, account info. Save and run it. This is a dev org, so I don't have a ton of data, but I got 111 opportunities. That's great. So every row here represents a single opportunity, and it's giving us the details for each opportunity. I'm not going to see repeat opportunities shown in multiple rows because I am just showing some opportunity information. So this is always going to be, specific info to that opportunity. All right, let's go ahead and go back to edit. So now we said we wanted to have some account information, some campaign, and some user information. So let's start doing that. I'm going to go down to the account object. Let's say that I want to include the name of the account that is over this opportunity. So I'll type in name again, put in account name. It always adds the field to the end. What you can do then is drag around. It'll turn green when it can move. So if you hover over a different column, it's going to put your field in front of it, just like that. So now I have account name and name. That's a little confusing. What is this name of? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this field. So I'm just going to say op name. One of the other great things when you click this little drop down here is it gives you a little bit more info. What object is this field from? And that's important because you can see how many objects we have access to. It's helpful to know by looking at the field what object it's from. This is the API name of that field, and this is the data type. It's telling you what kind of field it is. All right, so I'm gonna hit apply to change the name there. And I have that access here. So here's opportunity. I've got the, this is the API name. This is the type of field it is. And you can, this says show summaries. So select the summary data to show in the footer for this field's column. I'll go ahead and hit sum. At the bottom of this report, it should sum up all the amounts. All right, let's go ahead and run that again, see what we get. Cool. So we have op name. We have our account name. So now we're starting to see some repetition because this account has many opportunities. So all of these here are underneath this Burlington account, and they just have different names. If I scroll down, I'm going to get my sum of opportunities because I asked for it, but that doesn't have to be there. You can turn that off in the field if you'd like. All right, so let's keep going here. Let's go back to edit. And now we want to add campaign information. So I could have gotten that account name without really needing the account object because the opportunity has a lookup field. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. The way this is structured is that it does require you to get the name from the object itself, not from the opportunity. But let's say you're in Salesforce. I could just run an opportunity report and get access to the account name. And in fact, opportunity reports in Salesforce come built in with access to account fields as well. So I haven't gained much here. But let's go to campaign. I'll put the campaign name up as the primary campaign source for this opportunity, which again is also on the opportunity. That's one of the lookup fields. But I wouldn't have access in Salesforce, let's say, to the start date of that campaign. So we'll put the date in there. So this is a campaign field. It's not on the opportunity, but I'm getting access to it via the structure of Apsona reports here. Let's get the owner. So see, we have 3 rows for user because there's 3 lookup fields from the opportunity up to user. It's who created it, who last modified it, and who the owner is, and they could all be different. So it's really important to understand what all these rows represent. These are essentially lookup fields or objects that look up to the opportunity. So I'll grab the owner. I'm going to grab the name, or what do I have access to here? Full name. And let's just say one other field that I wouldn't get from the opportunity itself. Let's see, do we have created date? Okay, so when was this owner created? I don't know if we need that, but there you go. All right, so now let's save and run this. Okay, so it's basically the same structure. It's going to be 1 unique row per opportunity, and things are going to repeat as needed. So I'm the creator or the owner here of all these. I was created on a single day, so these are all going to be the same, but of course, different owners would have different information. Here we have name again. So I already happened to rechange op name. I believe that if I hadn't done that though, that it would have given me an error. Let's see if I could replicate this error. There's already a column with this label. Okay, so I'm going to say op name, and I'll say campaign name. And I can see that it's from campaign, so now I know I'm safe to call this campaign name. Excuse my typing. Great. All right. It's looking good. Okay. Let's talk a little bit. Let's do a little bit more of a tour. Let's go back to the edit tab. We have record range here. Record range basically says how many records am I going to return? So I'm going to return the first record of the SQL query. Again, Apsona is an external tool that communicates to Salesforce via SQL language. And this report is essentially just a big query that's going to return results. And so it's going, this range tells me I'm going to get the first record that the query finds all the way to the 100,000th record. You could technically raise this limit. I don't think there's a limit in terms of what number you can put in here, but eventually you could potentially hit a SQL query limit, which is a Salesforce limitation, that would not give you all of the results that might be in Salesforce. If there's 10 million records that are going to show up on this report, you're going to have a hard time getting those on really any report. Even a Salesforce standard report has a hard time with 10 million records. So we default to 100,000 in terms of record count on a report because that's pretty robust, but you can increase this. And we could even decrease this. There's there might be reasons where you'd only want to see a small amount of records and you can decrease it. We talked about relabeling fields and adding these objects. Let's jump to filter terms here. So we talked a lot about filtering in our last session. It's exactly the same. So let's say that we want to say only show opportunities that are above $100. I could say opportunity amount greater than, or I'll say at least so that I include 100, at least 100. And I'll save that. I'm not going to run it quite yet. Oh, it put me out of the report. Let me go back into it here. Okay. You can also filter by, other records that are available here. So I could say the account name has to start with Burlington, BURL. And then it's going to give me only, let me get rid of this logic here. It's going to give me only records that satisfy both of those. So it's really only showing me Burlington opportunities that are above $100. And we can see that right here. So filter terms we talked a lot about last time. I'm not going to spend too much time here. You can also apply saved filters. We talked about saved filters last time. So any filter that has been saved on this opportunity object can be thrown into the filter terms here. And we can sort. So I can choose to sort. It's already seems to be maybe sorting by account name, but let's go ahead and sort it by account name officially. And then let's sort it by close date. And we will say ascending and descending, we'll get the most recent first. So we'll hit save here. Oh, I got to get rid of my filters. Let me use this opportunity to show you a different feature. After having run a report, I can choose to play with these filters without actually saving them. So I could say, oh, let me just try pulling this Burlington thing out and hit change. Now it's going to run the report. It hasn't saved it, but it runs it with your changed filters. So now we are seeing the sort order was by account name, and so we're showing alphabetically accounts ascending, and then we are showing close dates descending, showing the most recent close date on top down to the one that's farthest in the past. Okay, let's go back to edit. I'm gonna go into I'm gonna take a look at our slides here. All right, let's talk a little bit about, I do want to show this reducing results because it could be helpful. And then we're going to talk about some other things here. So let's save this, ops with campaign user account. Let's go to accounts, reports. We'll start a new one and I'm going to say top accounts. Okay. I believe I want to use this as an opportunity to start talking about some other features. Okay, so let's build a account report where we just see what an account has purchased, or not what they have purchased, but all of the opportunities, all the purchases for accounts. Let's just start simple there. Okay, so we are here, we have account, let's do account name, get that on there. Let's go down to opportunity, and let's say amount, close date. Okay, and let's save and run this. All right, so we've got all of our accounts that have opportunities. Let's just say that I really just wanted to know how much a particular account has paid for. So I kind of just want to sum this up. Let's go back to edit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of close date to kind of help explain this a little bit. We saw this down here, but this isn't about summing it at every account level. This is about summing it at the bottom. So that's not what we're talking about. I'm going to introduce you here to metric fields. I think I may have mentioned those in our last session. Whoops, let me back this up. Metric fields are kind of like roll-up fields. They can behave in other ways too, but that's an easy way to describe them. And so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to get rid of this amount field, and I'm going to use the metrics section, but I'm going to type amount, and I'm going to get amount, but with the ability to sum at the account name level. So really quickly, in a very small nutshell, metric fields can run calculations like you see here, sum, lowest, average, highest, and it's always going to do it at every row level. And so whatever row of data it produces, the metric field will calculate the field at that level. And I'll explain that a little bit more further. So here we have account name, amount, sum, and we're going to run this. Now what we're getting is we are looking at amounts of all the opportunities for this account and totaling them up. And the reason that it's totaling it up just for this account is because outside of this field, the field over here, we don't have any duplicated values. Every row is a unique piece of information, and therefore we're getting one unique row per account. And then the metric field functions, it runs its calculation on every row of data. And so since we only have one row that represents the full account of Burlington Textiles, we're going to sum up all the opportunities for that account and repeat it all the way down here. Let me kind of explain that a little bit more because it's a hard concept to talk about. Let's go back to edit, and we have a metrics field summing the amount. Let's go to close date. Actually, I know what we're going to do to kind of drive this home. Let's put in the account, the opportunity ID. Oh, not a metric field, sorry. The regular opportunity ID. And let's put it right in the middle and let's run. So we previously had one row for Burlington Textiles, right? When I added the opportunity ID, each one of these opportunities has a unique ID. It's not going to be repeated anywhere. And so because it's a unique piece of data, and Burlington has, it looks like 7 opportunities, it now needs to show the unique data of every opportunity ID that it has for Burlington. And so because we've put in 2 fields, one of them having multiple values for the one value of account name, it's gonna automatically increase this report so that it shows the account many times, because it has to show every unique combination of data per row. So we have an account ID that's unique and the same account name, another ID that's unique but the same name. But if you put them together, there's still a unique combination of data. And so when you do that, this metric field is still doing its calculation, but it's doing it per row, which means it's essentially doing it per opportunity, because it's a unique ID here forcing a new row. And this metric field says, okay, show me all of the amounts that have this opportunity ID and this account name, and it's going to come up with one record because of this, the uniqueness of this ID. And therefore it's going to show essentially the regular amount. And I can prove that by just putting in the amount field next to it, not summed, just for that opportunity. Save and run it, and they're going to be exactly the same. So I want to help help you understand the value of metrics, but also a little bit of the complexity of metric fields, that they're functioning at a row level. So whatever unique data you put in there that creates a new row, the metric field is going to function at that level. So again, if I wanted to get a summation of amounts per account, I got to reduce my data so that every unique row equals every unique account. And then to do that, I'm just going to get rid of the opportunity ID. I'm going to get rid of the amount field too, because I want a sum, and then we'll be back to where we were, which is showing the complete, all of the opportunities summed up at the account level. That was really wordy. I recognize it. It's just an important concept, so I wanted to spend some time there. Okay, so let's look at some other ways to use this tool to accomplish a goal with this report here. That's going to highlight some of the other features. I'm going to go back to edit. Let's say that I do want to show the summed amounts for every account, but I want to see how much they spent each year. So I'm going to keep this sum field. Now I'm going to add the close date, but I'm going to add it for just the year. So now what I'm doing is and let me move it over to get the same visual. Now I'm combining 2 pieces of data, the year and the account name. So I'm not including the close date, which is literally like, the day, the month, and the year. That's a very unique value per opportunity. I'm just summing it at the year level. And so now let's take a look at how it does this. So now we're getting 3 rows for Burlington, not 1, because Burlington has made purchases in 21, 22, and 23. So now this is the new combination of unique values. Same account, 3 different years. And now the metric field is summing at the year level. So see how there's some power in this metric field because we are doing it by the year. So this is a way to kind of almost get like a matrix report in a way, but just using field types here to show how much each account purchased per year. Okay, let's go back. I'm going to pause the video really quick to collect my thoughts on how to do the next one. I'll be right back. Okay, so we have our report that's showing how much each account purchased per year. I want to show a different way to get to similar results using some other features. So I'm going to go back to edit. We were only using the year in order to create those kind of unique rows of account name and year combination. I'm going to get rid of that and just put the same, the good old-fashioned close date field, not a metric field, in there, date. And then I'm going to get rid of this summary of the amount, put in the standard amount here. Okay, if we run this, we're back to our 7 rows because we have very specific close dates. So we're creating more unique data. and amounts per opportunity. So we have this raw data. There's another way to get to that kind of like summary level information using visualization. So in a single step report, you have access to this tab right here, visualize. Right now, we're not doing any visualization. We have the ability to group this report at a single level. We could use multiple groupings. We're going to do a matrix here to kind of show off this feature. So I have the accounts, the close dates, and the amounts. And what I want to see is how much have they purchased per year. So I'm going to group my rows by account. I'm going to group my columns. I'm going to use the date grouping of close date and group it by year. So that whole kind of grouping the close date by year, I'm doing it through this, not the other method where I did previously of grabbing the field but choosing year. I've just got the regular field on here with a specific date, but I'm grouping it by year via this visualization tool. And then in the cells for each combination of account, name, and year, I'm going to sum up the amounts. So this is a different way to get at very similar results, and also a little bit visually different. So now, instead of just showing repeated rows where we had 3 rows of Burlington for 21, 22, 23, we see more of a matrix report like you could do in Salesforce or over a pivot table in Excel that shows the total amounts per year of opportunities for every account. So
I'm going to take just a quick curtain call from the audience, and noting we're right about the halfway mark. And for those of you guys that do have questions on the tip of your tongue, we want to make sure we have some space and time to evaluate those. This recording will be available on our YouTube channel, and you'll be receiving an email prompt around that. And I think the key point that we sort of paused at is a key one, right? So I often find that executives and stakeholders and folks want to see their data in Excel expressly because they want to be able to build a pivot chart from it. So the ability to quickly group and aggregate results in sort of a row by column chart and then allow them to change that and adjust that is a powerful way to use Apsona, whether single step reports or multi-step reports. So some key insights here that Chad is sort of slowly walking through step by step. This is a great resource for you all internally. Please do sort of comment in the chat or send us an email to support@apsona.com if you guys for some reason didn't get that email. I know we just got the attendees loaded from last week's today, so a little bit of just a backstop from some of our internal processes. But our goal is to make sure we're resourcing you all with key Apsona features and knowledge to make you more effective with your Salesforce data. So that being said, I'm going to flip over to our other options here, and I'm going to save this part where we're at. We're at the 41-minute mark. So if we want to go back at a point later on, we can do so. The remainder of this sort of 23 minutes is to do the following. I'm going to share these remaining items here. Chad shared specifically that, this was the reason I think the email didn't go out last time, Marcy. The last week's session didn't record. Chad's just doing some background work to try to get that recorded. So our hope is that the recording and the YouTube upload will happen shortly. The agenda, our usual sort of planned content that we have for the remainder of the summer for this 6-week session is included below. So you can sort of see what's coming up on July 26th, as well as options up through August as well. As Chad has indicated in the past, I'm going to pass this link in the chat. Rob, can you make sure this link to this form listing goes out to the chat members? I cannot see it on my screen. I think I'm listed as intended here. Oh, splendid. So here we have the just sort of general feedback, right? So we're very sensitive to what is resourcing you all well. So please do continue to sort of use this form and let us know, hey, was there key questions we didn't get answered on the topic maybe that you wanted us to dive into? Please be specific and help us with that, because our goal is to resource you guys and support you along the way. On screen, I'm just going to finish this deck for Chad. And I think that was it. I think that was the main other option.